If you've been scrolling through endless mini PC listings, watching videos that all sound the same, and still feel a knot in your stomach because you're not sure which compact box actually earns its price tag, this review is here to cut through the noise. I've spent the last week swapping a full-size workstation for a few different NUC-style machines, reading through the technical sheets, and even asking a couple of colleagues who run AI-assisted workflows what they'd need on a desk that barely fits a coffee mug. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. What follows is a straight-talk look at the ASUS NUC 15 Pro and why it might be the sweet spot for some, or a frustrating compromise for others. First off, the biggest question people ask about any mini PC is, how much space will it really save? The NUC 15 Pro measures just a little over 6 inches on each side and stands under 3 inches tall, so it slips neatly onto a crowded office desk or even the back of a monitor. That's a real advantage if you work from a cramped home office, a co-working space, or a studio where every square inch is precious. The trade-off, however, is that the tiny chassis forces everything CPU, GPU, storage, and cooling into a single, tightly packed volume. The result is a system that feels like a high-end laptop that has been flattened, rather than a traditional tower you can open up and stare at for an hour. When it comes to connectivity, the NUC 15 Pro is surprisingly generous. 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports give you the ability to daisy-chain a 4K monitor, a high-speed external SSD, and even a docking station for a full-size keyboard and mouse, all without reaching for an adapter. Add Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 5.3, and you're set for ultra-fast wireless file transfers and low-latency peripheral connections. For someone who runs multiple monitors for data dashboards or video editing timelines, the quad display support up to 8K on a single screen or 4 4K streams means you can keep all your tools in view without needing a separate graphics card in a bulky tower. The real draw for the AI training crowd is the Intel Series 2 Core Ultra 7 processor paired with an Intel Arc 140T GPU. In practice, that combo handles the kind of light to moderate machine learning tasks you'd expect on a research notebook. I ran a few TensorFlow scripts that trained a small image classifier on a 2 GB dataset, and the training time was roughly half of what I saw on an older i7-based NUC. It's not going to replace a dedicated RTX 4090 workstation for massive neural nets, but for prototyping, data preprocessing, or running inference on the edge, the performance feels genuinely useful. Memory and storage are where the NUC 15 Pro shows its tool-free upgrade promise. The board comes with 64 GB of DDR5 RAM already populated, which is more than enough for most multitasking scenarios. Think dozens of browser tabs, a virtual machine, and a spreadsheet full of live market data. The 2 TB PCIe 4.0 SSD sits on an accessible slot that you can swap without a screwdriver, meaning you can expand to 4 TB or replace it with a faster NVMe drive later on. In a real-world office, that translates to instant project loading, near-zero wait times when pulling large video files, and the ability to keep a full backup on an external drive without sacrificing internal space. Now, the practical downsides. The first thing you'll notice after a few minutes of heavy use is the fan. Because the whole system is confined, the cooling solution has to spin relatively fast to keep the CPU and GPU temps in the 70-80C range under load. In a quiet environment like a home office or a library, the fan can become a subtle but persistent hum. It's not a grinding noise, but if you're used to the near silence of a Mac Mini or a fanless mini PC, it might be distracting. Thermally, the device does stay within safe limits, but sustained AI training for several hours will cause the chassis to warm up noticeably, which could be a concern on a desk already full of other heat-producing devices. Another limitation is the lack of internal expansion beyond memory and storage. There's no room for an additional GPU, and while the Arc 140T can handle 4K video editing and modest rendering, you'll feel its ceiling when you try to edit 8K raw footage or run a complex 3D render farm. For professionals whose workflow revolves around heavy video effects, large-scale simulations, or high-end gaming, a compact tower with a dedicated RTX or a workstation laptop will still be the better choice. So, who should consider the ASUS NUC 15 Pro? If you're a data scientist who needs a dedicated machine for model experimentation but can't afford a full-size workstation, the combination of a powerful CPU, decent GPU and massive RAM in a desk-friendly package makes a lot of sense. Creative freelancers who edit 4K video, design graphics, or run multiple Adobe apps simultaneously will appreciate the fast SSD and the ability to attach a 4K monitor without a separate graphics card. Small business owners who want a secure Windows 11 Pro machine for daily productivity email, spreadsheets, video conferences will also